So, a lot of you are probably either American or you're bombarded with American news. Because face it, most countries are bombarded by it due to the internet and stuff like that. But seriously, what the fuck is going on as of late with this war on birth control? The Republicans have started, and like the removal of the woman's right to choose and like making birth control out to be this terrible, terrible thing. A few months back during a really heated debate about dystopian novels coming true, like 1984 is prophetic and Brave New World is prophetic and Animal Farm and stuff like that, I got yelled at that The Handmaid's Tale couldn't possibly become true because we're such a sexually charged society. But with the current state of how things are going, I'm sadly becoming more and more correct. If a girl has sex outside of marriage, whore. If a girl uses birth control, probably a whore. If she thinks about sex, whore. If she enjoys sex, whore. Just no matter what a girl does, unless it's like being like pure and chaste and like pretty much a nun, she's a whore. But if she's pure and chaste, then she's a prude. You just can't win. Arizona, what the fuck? Wanting to make it legal for employers to, grill girls on why they're using birth control, and if it's not for something other than preventing babies, you can fire them? Like, why? That should be illegal in so many ways, like Patient Confidentiality Act. I don't know if that exists in the States, but I'm pretty sure it does. Meanwhile, an Oklahoma senator has pretty much made my month with her retort to all of this stuff going on. In response to the whole putting women through the shaming period if they want an abortion, she has proposed a law that would make it illegal for men to ejaculate anywhere except into a woman's vagina, and the exact wording is any action in which a man ejaculates or otherwise deposits semen anywhere but in a woman's vagina shall be interpreted and construed as an action against an unborn child. So essentially the same thing as if a woman gets an abortion. In Virginia, a senator proposed making it a law that men have to receive a rectal exam and a cardiac stress test before receiving drugs to treat erectile dysfunction, which, kind of shows how ridiculous it is that a woman has to have a transvaginal ultrasound and have to go through a 24-hour shaming period and all this other stuff to be able to get an abortion. And people are going, well, freedom of religion. I understand that there's a Freedom of Religion Act in the Constitution. It means you have a right to practice your religion without discrimination, without feeling attacked or violated, things like that. What it doesn't mean is that you have a right to impose your religious beliefs and religious, dictations on someone else. If you don't want to use birth control, don't. Simple as that. If you don't want to have an abortion, don't get one. If you don't need laws to tell others with beliefs contrary to yours that they have to make the same choices. What I also don't understand is why the people who are on these panels to decide these rules and these laws and whether or not they're fair are all freaking male. Just because, they don't have a uterus, they are not qualified in any way, shape, or form to make these laws. The men on these panels are, insane, clearly. What I don't understand is why the people to decide whether or not these are fair and just laws aren't female. Their panels are all male, and last time I checked, men don't have uteruses, and they don't have the same investment in a child that a woman does. If a woman is raped and she has to carry that baby to term, that's 9 months of being reminded every single waking moment that the being growing inside of you, while it is a miracle, was conceived in a horrific way against the woman's wishes. If a woman's really ill, she's probably not safe to carry a baby. If the baby is severely, severely disabled and ill and probably won't make it, I can understand why you would abort it. I am personally pro-choice. While I personally probably wouldn't be able to go through with an abortion because I know myself fairly well, the only thing that I'm really against is late-term abortions, which are really quite violent, and women who use abortion as a form of birth control. But not everyone does that. And the people that are all against this are generally kind of religious zealotish. So really, anyone who thinks these people are right needs to get their heads checked. And all girls, like, if you were American, please talk about this. Bring it up with, like, call your senators and complain. If you're not American, tell your American friends. Bring it up in school. Like, make it so people know, so that your rights aren't being taken away from you because of a couple of guys or a group of people have decided that it's not, you know, you don't have a right to choose anymore. You really, like, women need to start speaking out against this. You can't just let life, like, fly by behind, like, and just rule you, because if you are religious and you believe these things, you shouldn't be shoving it in someone's face. I'm Christian and I don't feel the need to, you know, be like, oh yeah, no one's allowed to have abortions, no one's allowed to have birth control. Birth control is used for a lot of reasons other than preventing babies. It prevented me from, you know, dying a few times and, you know, being really ill all the time. It clears up acne, it balances hormones, it can start periods for some girls who haven't started it by the age of 18. It fixes a lot of things. It can't be illegal, and if we make abortions illegal, or we make it, like, impossible for a woman to get them, they're going to go back to the back alley and women are going to die. So I can understand banning late-term abortions except for severe medical reasons, but Rick Santorum and stuff like that, they're out of line. These senators that are pushing these laws are out of line. They are taking away your rights and freedoms. You need to stop them. So, one, girls aren't whores. Just because they like sex or they dress sexy or they use birth control does not make them a whore, number one. And number two, if she uses birth control, big deal. If she's had an abortion, big deal. You don't know why. Maybe she was raped. Maybe the baby had birth defects. Maybe, you know, there was something really dangerous going on. That's all a possibility. If the mom's in danger, generally it's a better idea to abort if the baby won't survive outside the womb than it is for them to continue the pregnancy and die. The 24-hour slut-shaming period is ridiculous. Let people who don't have a uterus, who don't know what you're going through, make laws that concern you. We need to stand up. They're taking away our rights that our ancestors and the women before us fought for us to have. They fought for you to have these freedoms. They did all of that so that you could be free, and you're letting men take them away. You're letting religious people take them away from you because they don't deem them appropriate. They don't believe in them, so they shouldn't be available to anyone, which is ridiculous. I love how they place all the blame on the girls for getting pregnant, but last time I checked, generally they're not alone in the back seat of that Buick buck naked doing the nasty. I remember hearing tales of this insane fight that occurred between my Uncle Ian and my great-gram before I was born. And great-gram was like 4'0" and a pioneer from Scotland who came over in like 1905 and grew up in rural Saskatchewan. When she was like she came over by herself when she was 15. And my family physically had to restrain the two of them due to how big this argument became. It's like one of the first times my mother met my great-grandmother, and the fight broke out when my Uncle Ian declared that any girl who got pregnant was a whore, and, you know, it was her own fault and all this other stuff. And great-gram retorted back, last time I checked, she isn't in the back seat of the car doing the dirty alone. The guy's right there with her, so he's just as much to blame, and it escalated from there. So I feel as if one of these religious zealots, you know, was put in the place of, you know, one of their daughters being sexually violated and getting knocked up or something like that, or they would view it a lot differently, which, you know, it's sad to say, but it's probably true. And like Uncle Ian had to eat his words because his granddaughter ended up becoming a teen mom, and he's a fantastic great grandpa, but he, you know, looked back and it was like, you know, either great grandma was right or you're referring to your granddaughter as a whore, which most grandpas don't want to say, not good grandpas anyways, and he loves that baby. He loves my little cousin like nobody's business.